Yeah, so um, yeah, I had a little issue. Um, if you were watching the stream last night, you can see that we tried to do the speed benchy, and it didn't work very well. And the reason that it actually, I thought that it was the hot end not being able to keep up, but that I don't think was the case. I think it was the bed. Actually, the bed was I didn't see exactly what heater fault it was producing, but after the stream ended, I attempted to do some test prints or some, just print some stuff on it, and I started a print in the middle of the night or before I went to bed, and when I woke up this morning, it was screaming. I could hear it beeping from my bedroom, and so I came down here, and it was stopped with a bed heater fault. But yeah, so it actually did okay on the super fast. I think it would have done just fine. I think the problem was it had a bed heater fault, and so it stopped the print. I might be able to share the photo here, but basically what ended up happening was the bed where the bed hooks up. I don't know, you might be able to see that, but where the bed hooks up, that little lead. I mean, it didn't have that much solder on it to begin with, but yeah, it like basically this one that's right here, right here. It basically that little wire came loose, and to be fair to me, there wasn't a lot of solder on it to begin with. Not as much as I am accustomed to. Obviously, usually what if you're comparing it to like a Prusa, the Prusas, the pads that are on those beds, they flood it with solder. Now they don't even use that method anymore. They use a nut and a bolt, but in the version MK3S that I have, that's what they did. They used a solder, and they would put the wire in there, smash it down so it was spread out, and then they would just flood it with solder. But yeah, I guess when I was trying to put the bed wiring boot on there, yeah, when I put the wiring bed boot on there, I was having trouble getting it on during the stream, and then throughout the stream it was bugging me, so I kept trying to put it on there, and I wasn't understanding why it wasn't going on there. I understand it now, and I think I just got a little too heavy-handed with it and basically broke that solder joint. So I resoldered it, and yeah, it took like 10 minutes. I heated my my soldering iron up, soldered it back on there, and she's good to go. So yeah, it's working great now. It's actually going pretty fast now. This is I think the top solid layer here, but I have it at 80 or 90 millimeters a second. Let me see if I can share that maybe with you. Let's see. Instead of Kira, let's just do a new window capture. Let's see if we can get Prusa slicer picked up. There it goes. Let's get commodity. Oh. Sorry, I'm trying to arrange my screens here. But yeah, so these are, I basically took all the Cura, I basically took all the Cura stuff and translated it into Prusa talk, which is a little tricky because of the, whatever they call those, the markers or whatever they call it. So yeah, so I took, let's see if I can zoom in here on the Prusa slicer. But basically, taking all the the little placeholder things and changing it from Prusa or from Cura to Prusa talk. I built this profile last night. I did get a couple test prints out of it. This is for the HTPLA, and yeah, I got it 90 on the perimeters, 15 on small, 30 on external, infill at 80, or solid infill at 80. 200 on the movement, so it's cooking along pretty good. I saw this on tripods. I saw this on tripods video. Thought it was kind of a cool test print, so I stole that from you, tripod. So don't get mad. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were going to come on the stream, so I thought I was going to get away with it. But yeah. Yeah, non-fam, you're right. If we had a silicone socket, it would be awesome. There's some, what I'm learning is this is not a production model. Just talking to John at Lulzbot today, he's taken a lot of feedback. I can kind of maybe show you guys some of the photos. Let's see. I don't know how to do that. I don't want this to be my first time sharing photos and show something I didn't mean to show, but this kind of shows you. This is the bed plug right here, and it prints with that side down, and the print quality is just not good. It is just not good. They have to put supports right here, which I understand. There's some supports right here, but it's just not that good. He's told me that they've since redesigned it, so even this one doesn't have the newest parts and pieces on it yet. He said, I'm going to keep telling you this throughout the day, and he did. He told me like 10 times, there's a new version, there's a new version, there's a new version. So they're still updating this printer. One of the things last night is we were missing the bed bolts, one of the bed bolts, and we were missing the bolt for the tool head. Due to the feedback, I think, that I gave him today, he said they changed the orientation, so all 4 bolts for the bed are lined up in the front, and they're pre-assembled. So when they put the machine together, the 4 bolts will go on as a unit, so that they don't forget them. And the tool head will include all 3 bolts that you need to attach it. So so all 3 of them will be right there on the tool head, as they should be. That's probably how it should have been in the first place, but he was very open to the feedback, and he's like, right on, we're going to fix that. So they did a quick redesign, and so the new ones will have that. What else? Yeah, and the little bed arm thing, or the wire, it's a strain. Actually, it's the strain guard for the wiring. It just wasn't very good, unfortunately. But they have since fixed it. And I showed non-fam earlier, but I'll show you guys again. But this is what the terminals look like. And the one that's closest to the T there, that one had that's where the solder joint broke. And you can just see there's not that much solder on there. I mean, that wire is probably plenty for this bed. It's a 24 volt bed, but it's just like the Prusa, but the Prusa uses silicone wire right there. And they don't use silicone wire because they have a little plug at the back, which is awesome. I hate the Prusa way because the wiring goes all the way back to the box. So if you ever have to repair it or whatever, you have to take the wiring out of the box. So this one allows you to unplug it and work on it. So this was a real easy fix. I did put some, what do you call it? It's escaping me. Hey, Steven. But yeah, so I put some, flux. I loaded it with flux. I cleaned it up, and then I just flooded it. With some solder. There's a link if anybody wants to jump in. Yeah, that is a pretty cool print, though, tripod. I've never seen that before. That was a first for me, so that was pretty neat. Yeah, Steven was one of our winners last night, so that's good. Steven and his wife. So I sent your wife, I believe, your email confused me, caused some confusion today in my disorganization. But what you won was the slice engineering. It's hauling ass. Look at it shaking the camera. But you won the slice engineering. What do you call it? The slice engineering desiccant thing, I believe. And your wife won a roll of the protopasta. So the protopasta will go out on Monday, and the slice stuff will go out on Monday too. Yeah, and unfortunately, the protopasta. I know she asked for High Five Blue. That's one of my favorite colors too. But one of the deals I had with them was to only do the Lulzbot color. So I did include. Maybe they'll change their mind, but the deal was for the Lulzbot, for the Lulz green, which is a great green. This color, I love this color. It is quite a bit darker than the regular Lulz green, but yeah. So, anywho, yeah, that's a good color. Yeah. So Steven and his wife walked away with something, so that's good. I think I did hear from pretty much everybody today. I had to seek a few people out to get their addresses. I can only imagine on a big giveaway what that's like. I thought having them email me would be easier, but then I felt compelled all day to track everybody down. So, yeah. Yeah, Stephen, in your email at the bottom, it said 2.5 kilograms of black. And I thought, oh, well, you must have won the IC3D. So I actually sent that to IC3D, and they wrote me back and said, we were watching the stream, and that's not who we saw won. I was like, oh, okay. So anyways, they called the original guy that won and straightened it all out. So those little desiccant things are pretty cool, though. And I don't know if you've ever had protopasta, but I mean, it's $30 a roll. So, it's no joke, as far as I'm concerned. What are you doing, tripod? I only got 3 people watching. Oh my God, I'm so pitiful. I'm a horrible streamer. We're gonna see if this thing finishes. This is probably way too fast for HTPLA, to be honest. But anyways, I'm just glad to have it working again. I was stressing all day at work. I just wanted to get it fixed. Yeah, exactly, Steven. I know it sounds like it's kind of a silly thing, the desiccant things, but Slice is really proud of them. And they're in Gainesville, Florida, so I'm sure that they have. I think you're down in the South too, but yeah, the humidity is a real thing, and it comes with a really high quality desiccant that you can dry and re-dry and put it back in the spool. but it'd probably work really good with like a Sunlu filament dryer, or I don't know, any kind of filament dryer. Sitting on the couch watching me drinking a beer. You want me to talk real soft? Hey there, tripod. It's iPad. You got a biped thing? How's my mic sound better today? I did some testing on this today because when I listened back to the stream, I was like, oh my God, that mic sounds horrible. It sounded really tinny. I think you told me that yesterday, but I didn't realize that it came with the gain was cranked all the way up. So, yeah. So hopefully it sounds a little bit better. I did a couple test cuts on it to make sure that it's not so tinny. It's raining here today, tripod. It is it's been pouring rain all day, 75 degrees outside. I mean, it's nice and warm, but man, oh man, it is just dumping rain today, which is very odd for us. Yeah, we're gonna test that fan design out. There, Lulzbot's really proud of that fan design. It's, to me, it looks like there's not enough holes in it. It kind of U's around the nozzle, which is good. But I see a couple things I would probably do differently. Is one is that fan's got a long ways to travel to get to this other side. And it's only got a couple holes on each side, so on the back and both sides of the nozzle. And apparently those nozzles or the holes are in such a way that they're, pointing perfectly at the bottom of the nozzle. So, yeah, we're going to have rain tomorrow too. So, not looking forward to it. But well, this is boring. Where's Llama? Let's get Llama on here. If tripod's going to bounce on me. Where's Llama? Llama. He's always good for getting on a stream. Or Viking. Where are those guys at? Let's get the Twitter going here. I should just put that link out on Twitter and let anybody join. That's probably a bad idea. Let's see. Anyone want to jump on the stream with me? Tripod is being lazy. Mama. Who else? Viking. Who else? Zach. Who else? Joel Telling. Who knows? What if we get Joel Telling on here? Wouldn't that be cool? Who else? Let me see the chat. What's the chat say? No, I am. I'm tweeting that I'm live right now. I'm tweeting that you're being lazy. Filament Frenzy, maybe? I don't know. You never know. I am live. Anybody want to jump on with me? Let's see. Oh, I should have said what we're doing. Damn it. We are fixing the Lulzbot that I broke. I say we, as in the royal we. You guys better stick around. Joel Telling's coming. I'm telling you. Let's see. I wonder if he got one of these machines and it's just not. It's not. He doesn't have time. Maybe. Oh, we got 4 people. Who's the 4th person? Who are you? But overall, maybe we can get John. Maybe we get John from Lulzbot. So you want to jump on a stream with me? It's a safe place. Promise. But yeah, the bed thing was kind of a bummer. I was really looking forward to printing with this thing, and then when that happened, I was kind of not happy with myself. And it was already midnight, so non-fam is everywhere, dude. Non-fam is no joke. What? Who? Why don't we know more about non-fam? I think non-fam should jump on stream and let's get it out. Let's figure out who he is, what he does, what he looks like. But he's like everywhere, and no, I don't think anybody's ever seen him before. What's up, old curmudgeon? Come on, non-fam. Don't be scared. I was scared too. Tripod gave me the strength. That mic is special. Yeah, it's I have it set on the directional setting, so that's good to know though. Thank you. I'm taken after Canadian Maker Project. Hello, everybody. Yeah, non-fam. Have you seen non-fam before, Tripod? I'm just curious because I haven't seen him. Look at that print quality though. That's pretty dang good, man. That actually looks pretty good. Non-fam, you show me yours, and I'll show you mine. You were Jerry 3D printing painting. Is that what you're talking about in January? Well, now I got to go back and start digging through Jerry's streams, and that is gonna be great. So, thank you. Just if I want to go see who it is. Yeah, Greg, I broke it. I think I sent you Twitter pictures, but I wanted to share everybody the challenges I was having. I'm gonna turn the gain up on this a little bit, but some of the challenges I was having with it. But I didn't want to. I didn't want it to make it sound like it was a Lulzbot issue. You got no Tesla. What? Come on, non-fam. If you were on Jerry's stream and you don't want to come on here, it's kind of like ouch. Yeah, I think you're right, Greg. I think it was inevitable at some point. It was probably going to break. There just wasn't a lot of solder on there. Not as much as I would like. Greg knows this all too well, but when you look at the like the Prusa, they flood those little pads with solder. And they take the wire and they smash it out like this, and then they flood it. Now, they don't do it anymore. But I actually prefer that method over the nut and bolt method. I don't really like the nut and bolt method that much. So, but, you know, I put silicone, when mine broke, because everybody's broke, I put silicone wire on mine, and I haven't had a problem since. So, it's been great. In fact, my bed's still the original bed, and it's probably got, I don't know, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours on it at this point. Non-fam. Come on, man. You could wear a mask. We could blur your face, change your voice. We could call you like fam non, so that people don't think you're on here, whoever you're hiding from. But no, sorry. I want go on cam now. Oh, come on. What if Joel Telling comes on here, non-fam? Yeah, solder. That's what it's called, old curmudgeon. I don't know what you guys call it, wherever you're from. Solder. It's called solder. Solder. I'm from the north, not from the south, and where I came from, we called solder solder. We called license plates, not tags or whatever you guys call them, plaques. I've heard them called down here. And the little sticker that has the year and the date on it, we called that. What do we call that? So where I came from, we called those tags, TAGS, and everywhere down here they call them tabs, TABS. Yeah, I think, or I might have it backwards. But when I was a kid, I think we called them tabs when I was a kid, tabs, TABS. And when I came to Arizona, everybody called them tags, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, solder. No, is that solder? Now you got me confused. I don't even know what point I was trying to make. Solder. So when I call it do you call it a soldering iron, right? Soldering iron. But I call the actual solder. So I get a roll of solder and then I use my soldering iron to solder it, or my soldering iron, I guess. Non-fam, if you come on, I'll do. I can do some impressions if you guys want to hear some impressions. If you guys got any requests. Greg, I say cock. Cock. But I know a lot of people mispronounce it with the L. That is incorrect. It is not caulk. It is cock. That's right. Plus, it gives you an opportunity to say cock where you would otherwise not be able to. You get demonetized. Do you guys ever watch Swamp People? How many of you have seen that TV show Swamp People? I used to watch that show religiously, Swamp People. Well, somebody's got to tell me they know that they know what I'm talking about, or I won't do it. So, okay, Greg loves the show. What about Tripod? Tripod, you ever seen that show? It's where they hunt alligators. One day I will. Oh, okay. All right, I'll leave you alone, non-fam. I appreciate you being here. I mean, I appreciate you being everywhere, but yeah. So, do you know who Greg? Do you know who Troy Landry is? Troy Landry is the king of the swamp, and his partner is named Elizabeth. Oh, I did do that. I did do that. I thought. Let me see. Share. Well, now it's trying to share. Oh, John at Lulzbot asks if we want him to come on right now. Tripod, I'm having issues. How do I invite? Oh, right here, invite people, right? So I invite people. I grab that clipboard, and then I go right here, and I paste. And let's see what that does. Yeah, so Elizabeth was his partner, but Elizabeth, he couldn't say Elizabeth, so he'd go a little bit. And they'd always see alligators. And they go, oh, over there, the alligator. A little bit. Get the gun, Anna. Get that gun. We're going to shoot it. And they go, shoot. Shoot, Elizabeth, shoot. We're on right now. Let me copy that link and see if maybe we can get him to come on. Dude, he's such a nice guy, man. I feel like this guy's getting a bad, all the people are being overly critical, Shoot him a little bit. Listen here now, there's Toy Landry talking to you. I'm only going to tell you this once, maybe 2 times. You need to shoot the alligator when I tell you to shoot the alligator. When I tell you to get the gun a little bit, you got to get the gun. My wife thinks I'm mad at her. Now, if you close your eyes, Greg, doesn't that sound just like Toy Landry talking to you? Hey there, Greg. Nice to have you here on the stream now. Oh, look, we got a duck there for the alligator. I'm telling you, it's about as good as you get for a Toy Landry impression. That's it. Somebody prove me wrong. Tom Llama. Hey, guess what? Tom, I just put it in the stream right here, but I think we're going to get John from Lulzbot on here in about 10 seconds. And if everybody can agree to be nice and constructive, I think he would enjoy talking to everybody. Yeah, see there, Greg? Oh, your last name would be hard for Toy Landry. You say, hey there, Greg Gustum. The trick to Toy Landry is to talk like you got peanut butter in your mouth. And you talk like your tongue is always stuck to the top of the mouth. That's like that. Woo-wee. That's what they're doing down there on the Cajun side. John's going to come on here and go, I am not going on that freaking stream. This idiot's doing a Toy Landry impression to try to get people to come on, but here we are. Oh, yeah. All right there. I'll be good there, Greg. You be nice. You be nice to Mr. Lulzbot there, Greg. We got to understand, and there's a misconception. I was on a stream the other day, and somebody kept telling me over and over, John's the original owner. He is not the original owner. He is a CEO today and owner today, but he was not the guy that started Lulzbot. I mean, I think he's only like 28 years old or something. I mean, he's extremely young. Oh, there's Tripod. Oh, there, look at there. Woo-wee. There's Tripod there. Oh, now look at there.
Look at that. No, I will not be going onto the stream.
Oh, you got to talk like you got the peanut butter in your mouth there, John.
Oh, is that how you do it?
You got to talk like you ain't got no teeth.
Totally.
And you got peanut butter in your mouth.
It's sortling.
And occasionally you got to yell shoot them.
Oh, it looks like you got someone else.
Oh, there he is. Oh, and we're here screwing off.
Yeah.
John, what's up?
What's going on there, John?
How are you, my friend?
This and that. It's been pretty busy, which is a good thing.
I did bring a frosty beverage on, so.
Oh, hey, there you go. So
I didn't know you were going to be on, but it's too late. I'm already cracking it open.
not bad.
John, it's printing. It's printing.
Wonderful.
That is a good. Yeah. That is a good practical print to do because the overhang.
Yeah,
it's gonna. It gets really jaggedy, so expected, but it looks like it's handling it pretty nicely. So
I'm super impressed with how fast. I've never had a belted Z before, and I'm surprised how fast it moves.
Yeah.
I didn't realize though that a lot of your printers are belted Z, huh?
Yep. Everything we make right now, we switched over to the belted Z, so you don't have your Z wobble anymore. You don't get the bent lead screws or anything like that.
Right.
There's some other nice reasons for it. I mean, you don't have to take a look and try to figure out a golden ratio. You know, lead screws tend to have those sweet spots right when you get the layer height set, but belted systems are a little more forgiving there too.
Right.
So,
this is the test print I was trying to go with for the HTPLA, and the problem with HTPLA is it curls like crazy. I mean, it's like it instantly, the minute the nozzle moves, it goes. But
yeah, and you'll notice with this one, you may get curling on the corners on this because it's just a long and narrow. I mean, it's a really good test for the bed.
Yeah.
Did you watch the stream last night, John from Lulzbot?
Kind of caught bits and pieces of it. On my to-do list yet.
Yeah, it went really good. I mean, I think we had almost 400 views total. So, I mean, for me, I mean, that's actually, I've never streamed before. I actually wasn't going to stream. But,
Sure.
John, Tripod helped me. But yeah, we had quite a few people, and I thought it's a rare opportunity to be able to show a printer that I don't think anybody else has it yet, right?
No, 747. You've got the
One of one?
Wild, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
August 13th is when we committed to shipping by, so it's been kind of fun. Production's been focused on cranking out the 289s. I'll show you kind of a fun. I don't know how well my phone will come through, but I've been relating the 289s as we build them on the shelf.
Oh yeah.
Maybe a little bit fuzzy, but what it reminds me of is I'm sure we have some Star Wars fans out there, but when they're unloading battle droids.
Hold on one second. Oh, nope, that didn't work. Sorry. Go back.
What are you trying to do?
Oh, it's okay. I'm just adjusting. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, building something starts to kind of look like unloading battle droids, which is kind of fun. So eventually we'll have 4 main, I guess, kind of base types built up for people. So they want the small chassis, the big chassis, so your 289 or 747, and then do you want a black or do you want a green? And then from there,
John, let me ask you. Let me ask you some of the tough questions we've heard. Can I do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I know you're open to it, and I know we've talked a little bit, but so one of the big criticisms is like, one of the things I said last night is the big question is could it be a Prusa killer? This printer is a Prusa killer as it sits today. Like, if it was the same exact price, there's no debate that this is a better printer. Like, as far as structure goes, I was blown away by how, like, you could stand on this thing,
We've got some fun stuff planned with that, so keep that one in your head.
Well, I thought about standing on it, but I'm kind of a big guy. But my question to you is was the $9.99 price point just not plausible to hit under any circumstances? So
it is pretty difficult to get there. What is probably most fun is when you look at a reseller network. So one of the things that's a little bit different about Prusa is when you start to look for it in resale channels. To actually move units through resale channels, you're going to have to give up a pretty significant amount of margin. We've got some good partners, good distributors. They do a great job getting our product out now. And in turn, we give them margin to do that.
Right.
The Sidekick is riding that borderline right now where after we get a feel for how people are customizing these, we could still have a reseller price point that makes sense.
Right.
If we want to completely pull the rug out and say, okay, these are a Lulzbot only product, the only place you're going to get this is our website, and that's it.
Right.
It might become possible to deliver it a little bit cheaper, but you're definitely standing on your own selling it then. And from what I've seen so far with the community and stuff, I don't know that the Sidekick is quite ready for that. We'll wait till a few more of these get out there and people start using them, start enjoying them. Everybody that's actually used one or gotten their hands on them, I think have really enjoyed the experience. Kind of like I mentioned, they're tough little machines. You can just take.
Well, the unboxing for me was baffling. Like, I could not believe all the stuff you did to make everything. Like, I mean, it's unimportant in the grand scheme of things. Like, as far as the way the printer prints, it doesn't really matter. But the time you guys took to engineer it into that box was really impressive. But again, going back to the Prusa thing is like, when you look at the machine, it's just so much more substantial than a Prusa, right? And so I keep telling, and to the other big debate, I've heard from the critics, because I'm not a Lulzbot guy per se, but so it's kind of interesting to hear the guys that have been with Lulzbot for their whole lives, and they're like, they got it tattooed on their arm, and they're pretty upset over, whatever. But one of the criticisms I heard is like, they keep going, $100 for a screen. Are you kidding me? And then they go, it doesn't even come with a hot end. You're going to buy a printer without a hot end. And so my explanation so far is, first of all, Prusa's screen is $100 also. Right. That's Greg. You know,
Hey,
Greg.
John. Oh, he knows me. How's it going?
But Prusa's selling the same screen, or, selling their screen for $100 too. And it's like, people have to make money, but I wondered why you didn't go, like, instead of saying it's $9.99, saying it's $13.75, and then you can the configurator would whittle it down instead of whittling it up. Right.
And one of the nice things about where we're at as a company is we can take this kind of feedback and make those kind of changes. So that's
true.
Something that we've talked about internally is, okay, let's just change the base price and make the screen a remove rather than
right.
That clearly was abrasive once it got out in the community.
But John, it's people that are looking. Honestly, the people I'm talking about, and I'm sure you probably know some of them, but they're literally looking at this machine and they're looking for a problem, right? They want to see a problem. Where I honestly, because I am, I'm not biased to Lulzbot per se, and I looked at it and said, I wish when I bought my Prusa, I love this Prusa, but everything I have has mosquitoes on it. So I wish I had the option for Prusa to drop the V6 off of it personally, and I could put my own hot end on it. Right?
Makes sense. I will say one thing that I wish was a little more clear for people out there on the screen debate is not to call it a screen. It's a display controller.
User interface.
You've actually got a lot more going on than just the screen. This is going to be the whole brains of how you're going to run off an SD card and everything else. I'm sure we've all
without it, you need a computer, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Without it, you're going to have to tether and run from a computer. So you got that freedom to move around. There's a little bit that goes into actually making it. I'm sure there's been BOM comparisons on printed parts and everything as far as what goes into that's open source. So we're not hiding what we're using.
Right.
The
source code's out there on GitLab now.
Yeah, it's all to machine boards and stuff. So it's things that people aren't unfamiliar with.
Right.
If they want to look at it, some people build their own stuff. We're not really one way or the other about it. They usually put things out there on, here are the files, either the STLs or where the suppliers are at to get these components if you want to build your own. But I guess if people looked at it a little bit more like a true display controller and not just a screen, I think that would probably help.
Yeah, because they're looking for a problem, so they go, it doesn't even come with a screen. But I looked at it, and maybe I'm naive, but when I first looked at it, I thought if I don't want the hot end, if I had a Lulzbot tool head already.
Oh, perfect.
Exactly. I mean, but like going back to the Prusa, when just the substantialness of it, the Prusa is a great machine, but it's not very rigid as a machine. It's kind of floppy. It does a good job, but it's a little floppy in its standard configuration. And this thing just feels like it's something you could move. You could take it somewhere if you wanted to.
Yeah, we got some pretty good experiments going on for portability internally. So I'm hoping we can do some fun stuff on social coming up with that. But the reality is, even I'm going from classroom to classroom, or I'll visit a university or something, and I've lugged Pro S's around. That's a cool feat. Do you just assemble it all the way and then build it there, or do you leave it all assembled and then fit it through doorways because they're huge? With the Sidekick, you don't have to do any of that. And then on top of it, it's going to automatically level once you get there. So you just fold it up or fold it out and put the bed on.
Well, let me ask you this question. Another big debate is this replacing the Mini?
No, not by any means. So the Mini definitely has its part in our lineup. Namely the fact that if you wanted to knock a Mini off a table, especially in a school setting, it would probably just keep printing. There's a lot of customers that have come to love that. Lulzbot's at a point where the print farms, the maker spaces, and the stuff that don't want to mess with it, and they have a machine picked for their system. They want to keep using that same machine for 4 years, 5 years in a row. Their files are sliced for it. They know how to train people on it. Our open hardware assembly instructions and all the files being out there make it easy to keep these machines alive.
No.
Where the Sidekick fits into that ecosystem a lot better. I was on a call a little bit earlier this afternoon with a larger university down south, and they have a little over 20 different Lulzbot's in the makerspace. Probably half of those are TAS6s, but then they've got a bunch of workhorses. And I started talking to the makerspace manager, and he said, well, we've got a lot of extra tool heads, because the mentality we take is if something gets plugged or whatnot, we'd rather just swap the tool head quick and then
high uptime.
And fix that. Said,
yeah,
well,
Greg was talking last night about if you value high uptime over you know, like if anybody that's had like I hate to keep going back to a Prusa, but let's say a rail core, I have a rail core here, or any other machine really, you got to go back all the way to the board. To fix a problem is an ordeal. I mean, it's a whole, you got to explode the whole thing apart. And Greg said, like when I switched to the Mosquito, I literally just had to undo 3 screws and a bolt or in a plugged it in, and the firmware, you change it. It's easy, you know.
In fact, I just got done tearing down my Hemera on another machine. It took me an hour to get that jam cleared. If I had another tool head, I'd just pop it on, right? So,
we got a juicy question. Actually, there's 2 juicy questions. So Filament Frenzy, I know you work with him too. He's asking, is there any? Are you ever going to put out a gold version? He wants everything to be gold.
Well, actually, let's reboot that question a little bit. How hard would it be for you to actually do more colors than just the 2 that you're offering?
Yes. So that we have ran. 100 units is the MOQ to run a special color of any color.
Okay.
Let's say you're an industry partner. You wanted your specific colors and stuff, 100. We've ran the math on it, and realistically, that's a high enough commitment for us to do the parts in a specialty color like that. Very, very possible on a machine like this.
Oh yeah, you have your print farm going. You got to change all that over. It makes sense.
And Filament Frenzy, he's used to people making special colors for him, so he's got all kinds of special color printers. But here's another. This is a huge thing that keeps coming up. John, why did you put why are they putting an 8-bit board in 2021? An 8-bit board in a printer.
Yeah.
It's a total play for price, right?
So when you look at it, it really boils down to how much of it do you consider marketing fluff when it comes to the performance of a desktop 3D printer. You've got this constant 8-bit versus 32-bit debate, but realistically, trinamic drivers are going to be more important to the function of that machine, the overall sound emitted from a machine. And what you see with the i2 Retro, this 8-bit board, is it's not only a tried and true, proven part of our ecosystem, but it also has those trinamic drivers on it. So in terms of performance for what you're going to get out of a machine like this, I don't see any degradation when it comes to that.
I heard a guy last night say. I won't say his name, Llama, but he said he goes, if you crank that thing up, it's going to start choking, right? And I know because one of my most reliable printers and Filament Frenzy knows, and Greg knows. Anybody that's had a Prusa knows they're 8-bit INC boards also. Virtually the same thing, and that never happens. They're perfectly capable of pretty much anything that the structure of the machine can throw at it, right? I mean, even MMU printing.
Yeah, one of the things that was brought up was the future proofing, though, which I think might be a good point, because if you continue to want to build new features, and let's say you guys do a new fork of Marlin that needs more features, right? Like, I don't know, what's the big one that they're doing now? Input Shaper that's coming to Clipper.
Yeah,
so there might be might not be enough headroom to accommodate some of those features on those 8-bit boards. And I don't know if you guys have thought about, because of that, adding like a 32-bit board option.
So we have the Sidekick out of the gate, but we also have 32-bit boards already in our lineup.
Oh,
Arkham 2 is, so like this Pro S that's running behind me, the fan we got on the Bontek's a little bit noisy, so if you hear anything, that's what it's coming from. But yeah, I guess, I don't know how loud the machine is coming through, but I'm able to do a live stream with you guys, and hopefully
Yeah.
you're able to hear
we
me.
don't hear it.
I don't hear it.
But that's our 32-bit board, and realistically with the Sidekick, the feature that would prompt us to really push to put the Arkham 2 in it is if we built a touchscreen. So now from your options that you see currently, unlike the configurator, you've got 2 colors currently. If we want to expand, we can expand. You've got one display controller right now. Realistically, if we wanted to expand that, we could. Same with boards. Our universal firmware that we're running, if you do have the display controller, makes it so even firmware wouldn't be that difficult as far as keeping track of different revisions, because we would just essentially at that point have 2 universal firmwares, one for the 8-bit set on the INC Retro and one for the 32-bit on the Arkham 2. So it's not unknown to us. We have 32-bit in our ecosystem. It's just not the goal of this machine currently. If there's a lot of call for that, and there's a serious like engineering justified reason to put it on this machine, we could maybe see it. But boards are going to be the name of the game in the coming year. I think we've all seen kind of on the news, either if we're talking about this display controller or the actual motherboard of the machine. That's a very real consideration. I mean, we've got it figured out as far as our sourcing and supply chain, and it helps to kind of piggyback off of a machine that we have at the same time. So the Mini 2 also uses the INC Retro. So you're also essentially insulating that supply chain at the same time. So whether the INC Retros are going in Mini 2s or Sidekicks, we've made it safer overall to procure that stock with what might be coming in the coming days.
That's good. And can the INC Retro do everything that the regular, like the Prusa INC board can do? Can you hook an MMU to it, or?
I haven't tried it. In our ecosystem, we've been using like the Mosaic palette. So if you want to hook a palette to it to do multicolor, that's been kind of our go-to. And if you use a true dual material, you know, if you're doing a water soluble and a hard plastic or flexible and like PETG or something, then you probably go to the Pro where you've got the linear actuated dual heads. Otherwise, the 6, we've got the dual V 3.1, kicking that fan off there with those spacers. Really helped a lot of the heat creep that the early V3 had on it.
Right. And, you know,
V2.
One of the things, you know, John and I talked at Murph, and one of the things that I think a lot of the criticism comes from are the people, you know, a lot of the criticism is coming from people that would never buy a Lulzbot or a Prusa or any of that, you know, whatever you want to call the mid to high tier in the first place. But how much of that do you see? Do you see a lot of the criticism or no?
Oh, certainly. I mean,
do you?
It's part of being in the community.
Right.
To a degree, there's how much of it do you observe, incorporate, change, prepare for, but then also you still have to make decisions. Decisions doing, well, business here in the U.S. and still paying everybody at the end of the day. We've got 75 employees right now working full-time at Lulzbot, and, you know, first and foremost, making sure that what we're doing is going to ensure they have jobs. What we're going to do.
How many? You said 50, 55?
Yeah. 75.
75. All right. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
I was just going to ask, like, related to that, what is your kind of your cash cow industry right now? Really, would you say?
I mean, the majority is probably U.S. government and universities.
Okay.
Schools, and we have a lot of industrial partners that keep growing, but they're the same type of customers that can't necessarily share what they're doing or show how they're using these printers. they're doing all sorts of really cool stuff. I'll share one of the articles. There was a article in the Additive Report, or one of them recently, but it covered like Ford's use of Lulzbot 3D printers, and I think the title's Ford is saving millions of dollars by 3D printing, but not how you think how.
Right.
It goes over all these different things that even by repairing or keeping machinery running, if you've got the ability to put down fat beads of plastic fast, sometimes it's just pucks for a conveyor type machine. Cosmetic is not your concern. Affordably producing parts out of a higher grade plastic, whether it's ABS or PETG, first and foremost, that's what you're going to be looking at is, can we get this job done timely?
John, how much? The thing that blew me away is like there's some chunky printing on this printer. Like there's the Prusa is the same way. Like they print and they over extrude and their fat layer heights and all that stuff. But how do you know how many hours of printing's on one machine?
Oh, I don't know that I've actually broke it down like that.
I mean, I know it weighs what, 30 pounds total?
Yeah, I think it's 20.8 on the one model and 18.7 on the smaller one. But
I mean, that's a lot of filament, right?
Yeah. There's I think, I mean, half of that's probably filament, honestly.
I bet it's a good roll and a half, if not.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Those bulkheads are like fat, thick.
Or 1 kg spools. So,
yeah.
Well, I think Filament Frenzy is going to be customizing his loaner machine. Really, with gold. So,
John, can you give him permission right now online to print it gold? There you go, Phil. There you go, Tom. You said print it gold if you want, or paint it gold. Yeah.
I mean, and Jim basically called it out right there anyway. So.
And in Filament Frenzy, that giving him a printer was smart, I think, in a lot of ways, because I think for most of us, like Lulzbot was kind of off my radar, to be honest. I knew they existed, but I thought it was mainly like for schools and.
I mean, across from at Murph for 3 days, staring at those machines.
Yeah, but for me, like seeing Filament Frenzy printing on it, like I guess I had kind of I had assumed that it was kind of out of my purview. For the normal guy to have one, you know what I mean? So I think that was a pretty smart move. So he's probably certainly earned it at this point. You can paint it whatever color he wants at this point. Yeah. He don't care.
Great to work with. I mean,
yeah.
When I think about people in the industry that have really maybe mastered their art, somebody he's going to know how to set linear advance. He maybe has the K value different on even different colors of the same type of filament.
Right.
Maybe doesn't go that deep, I don't know. But the fact that there are the number of settings out there to adjust and account for on a machine, if you can couple that with a machine that is reliable and repeatable enough to allow you to print and have the same wisp of a curl on an overhang every single time you run the same slice.
Yeah.
Tweak the slice and that curl goes away, but it goes away every single time you run that print. That's where the repeatability and reliability really comes in. You need to be able to have consistent temperatures. You can't have a ton of fluctuation.
When I started, I had the Prusa and I was struggling with it bad. Like I was ready I was going to send it back, to be honest. Like I was having that much trouble with it. And I found him on Twitter. I didn't know who he was. And he kept telling me to do stuff. And so I kept like changing filament and changing this. And at one point he goes, if you're going to keep changing the model and keep changing the filament, I can't help you no more. So, because I kept going, God, it looks like crap. Let me try this filament, but he really does. Yeah. He sent me over a G code, and, like I said, there's there's a lot of Twitter drama over everything. But the one thing that's been constant is he's really been an advocate for a lot of people to get them. For me, like, I think he really got me over the hump. I think I was about ready to throw in the towel, to be honest. But so he's definitely worthwhile of a loaner machine for sure. But yeah. So let me ask another question, maybe. And this is another thing is, who are you, and where did you come from? That's another big question. Who is this guy? I don't know how old you are, but
But hell, I'm not very old, honestly.
you're in the 20 something.
Yeah. So when we started all this with Lulzbot, I was 25, 24. I don't know.
Well, one rumor going around is you're the guy that invented Lulzbot in the first place. That's not true, right?
No, not even close.
So I heard that on a stream. Somebody argued with me. It's the same guy. It's just a different company. He went bankrupt and then he started a new shell company. Everybody knows it's true. That somebody said that for real. I'm not even joking.
I've done a lot then. A lot more than you actually have.
I was like, I think he was 12 when it started. So,
but no. Professionally, I learned agricultural and biosystems engineering, and I went into what they call particle reduction for Cargill, which is basically flour milling. It's at first from the outside, it doesn't seem like it really fits at all. But food production's in a state in the country right now where historically you had plants that ran with 50, 60 people, but today they run with 6 people, a control room, and a ton of automation. Whether it's temp sensors, position sensors, giant PLC cabinets, it's robots, hands down,
right.
The industrial scale. So when you look at it like that, now all of a sudden, 3D printers start to make a little more sense, or how that fleshes itself out as a hobby that becomes a career. So 2018, started my own company in the space. Fargo 3D Printer Repair, which was an offshoot of Fargo 3D Printing. Fargo 3D Printing is a different company, as is 3D Fuel. There's a ton of different 3D printing companies in Fargo. If you're ever in the area, you definitely stop by. It'll make a ton more sense. But so with repair, I became familiar with a lot of different printers, how they worked under the hood and stuff. But on the rare instance, you'd see a Lulzbot come in. And when they would, we would just smile because it's like, this is a cakewalk.
It's like the Maytags, right?
They have the assembly instructions out there for us. We can 3D print replacement parts. Like, we're going to have this thing up and running and back to a customer in no time. So we knew a lot about the product ahead of Aleph announcing their layoffs and stuff. But the other 2 partners both also used their Lulzbot machines in their business. Prosthetics is a business in Fargo, North Dakota that makes 3D printed prosthesis and orthotics, heavily using the Lulzbot printers for everything from check sockets and various braces.
Wow.
And a Fargo Assembly, a large-scale wiring harness company, was using the Lulzbot.T's platform to make various connectors and stuff for their wiring harnesses. So all of us have a heavily vested interest in seeing 3D printing continue to grow, and very much so want to be a part of that appliance-like discussion when it comes to getting these in homes. I know that some people still see that vision as a little bit naive, but we've got some creative ideas for how people can justify and enjoy this technology in their home. It's incredibly powerful. I mean, even right now, I don't know, I think it's like a double octopus giant vase.
That's quite the print.
But,
mainly what I was trying to do is run a film and runout sensor test, just like a torture test. So I was running spool. You can see I had all these like couple of windings left spools and just run it out, switch, run it out, switch, run it out, switch. I think
so you started as a hobbyist, and then you made a business out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Lulzbot went bankrupt, you guys saw that as an opportunity to basically acquire it?
Yep. Made some phone calls and packed up my Jeep and was out in Colorado for the next 3 months.
And that's why now Llama's like, I'm not sure, but I think he likes Jeep.
Yeah. But pretty big Jeep fan.
So how are things going post the new company in Fargo? I mean, are you guys profitable? Are you guys making money? Are you? Yeah, you're doing good.
That seems a bit excessive. Cash flow positive within the first year. They're still making payroll when you have 75 people. All of our vendors and stuff, making sure that they get paid. If you can imagine the wake of how ALIF objects close, and kind of the tough spot that some of the suppliers were put in. We definitely had to re-earn our ability to do good business. You do that by making sure everybody gets paid, and you just do good business, honestly.
Well, anybody that's I've acquired, I think, 3 companies, and that is always a tough discussion because we all share the same vendors, and when you walk in and say, you have to settle. I mean, it's just business. It is what it is. I mean, it sucks, but it ultimately, it's not you guys that put them in that position, right? I mean, the worst thing is that Lulzbot goes off the face of the earth, right? That's the worst thing that could happen. Then there's nothing, right?
Right. At that point, your next biggest U.S. desktop manufacturer, I'm not sure who they'd be or at headcount. I mean, we have, I guess you'd say, the luxury of being able to have 4 full-time support staff, full-time sales staff, full-time engineers.
Well, who is your competition? I mean, from a U.S. standpoint, who else do we have? I mean, we can't count like Matter Hackers, Pulse, and all that stuff, right? I mean, they're a totally different scale, right? Is MakerBot here too?
No. They're still headquartered here.
Stratasys.
You can look at all their public reports and stuff because they are publicly owned, which is kind of interesting to see. But it's certainly not made in Brooklyn anymore. I think that's well known. But the word competitor is kind of a unique piece there because there's a lot of different directions you can go when building a 3D printer, a lot of different niches. If you're trying to make something that's hassle-free so you can just open it up and start printing, or if you're making something more for your hacker, your tinkerer, who building the printer is part of their experience of 3D printing.
Right.
I'd say we would fall into the former. It's I suppose you've got Maker Gear.
Oh, Maker Gear. That's who I was thinking of, I think.
Fusion 3, I think they're still doing something. You've got
Project Red,
Project Red, yep. Core XY type machines. But I think we're all doing stuff on a little bit different scale now when it boils down to it. But there's a few projects in the U.S. yet, but we're definitely an American brand through and through.
How many? One thing that we read recently in the last 6 months is that See Me CNC. That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah,
Actually, I think See Me CNC is probably the only one that's maybe on your scale, even to some extent. But
an old Eris going the other day, a small Delta ER.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's one of my other printers is at Artemis. They too are a great company. But one of the things we read recently is that Prusa bought an injection molding machine, and a lot of people are freaking out because he's not. I mean, it's clear that printing parts is not the most. It's a good for prototyping, but it's not the most cost-effective way to make a printer, right? Like if you could injection mold these parts, you'd be popping them out in a fraction of the time, right? Do you worry that like Prusa doing that, like that will further the price gap will get bigger, or no?
They can do whatever they want there. For us, the machine is a testament to. If we could 3D print it, we 3D printed it.
That's a great idea.
Pieces and plugs and caps and covers, even on the flexi side of things.
Yes.
It's unreal. But there's one overarching powerful reason for why to do this. Since your stream yesterday, I've been able to work with our engineering team and completely revise parts so that everybody going forward has a better experience. So I think you were missing one of the bed bolts. Well,
look at that, guys! Isn't that awesome? Like,
that's where they're all supposed to be.
We influenced that, dude. That's awesome.
The tool head. I know you were missing the rear.
Yep.
So now all 3 tool head bolts go into that same mount.
That is awesome, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish that other manufacturers would do stuff like, but now you're setting the standard, John. That's I mean, that standard should have already been met a long time ago. It's kind of sad that we have to go backwards, forward again.
But tripod, that's 24 hours, right? That's 24-hour turnaround time
that's
to
what I'm
change
saying.
something.
I mean, they did the same thing.
That's
for my
constructive criticism.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You're taking the feedback, and you're actually, I mean, literally, less than 24 hours, you already have a solution.
Right.
That is cool, John. That is a cool point, man. That is really cool. And that feels good to be part of something like that. Yeah. The one thing I did notice on here, and by the way, See Me CNC does this too. Mm-hmm. They do all their boots and the flex, and the TPU. And I would love to see that farm. That's got to be like, I mean, you got to be printing them slow, right? I mean, it's got to be like 1,000 printers moving slow.
So in our farm right now, we've got 300 units. Probably pretty close to 200 of those are your mini twos.
Yeah.
One of the things we wanted to do when we built the Sidekick, and we thought hard about it, is there's two sizes. You've got the 289, which shares a lot of the same componentry with the Mini 2 in terms of build volume, and you've got the 747. We didn't want you to have a machine that you couldn't print all the parts for on it. Like with the 747, we could easily change the printed parts to accommodate the bigger bed. But we didn't want to. We wanted you to be able to take a 289, the smaller version, and be able to produce every single part that's on the machine with the machine you own.
Yeah, it's like even the Voron Zero kind of model, right? You can do the same thing on a Voron, even the smallest one. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I think most of us love the printed thing because I like it. One thing I never thought of before, but like I used to watch Phil and Frenzy. He'd start reprinting all of his parts and changing the whole color scheme of his Prusa. And I started doing the same thing because, after a while, I mean, it was stupid, but you get bored of the colors, you can change it. But, and it also allows for innovation and people in the community to alter the machine any way they want, right?
I have one question about this. Okay. Isn't that like cannibalism? If you really think about it, you're digesting and spitting out stuff for your own part.
What do you mean?
I'm just kidding. Because you're reusing your own part to make the part. That's always been the way I thought about it.
That's the whole rep.
There you go.
Because going back to my father was a CNC machinist. And I'm like, as long as I have another CNC machine, I could cannibalize, make parts and throw it on the other one, and I could always have a working machine. I'm like,
the whole rep wrap movement, right, initially was to have a printer that was as printed as much as possible, so that another printer could reprint it. Yeah, exactly. And when you talk about like going like if Prusa goes, there's gonna be an uproar if they go to injection molding, I think, but because most people want to keep that spirit alive. And I'm telling you, if that's something you have value in, this printer has this is the most 3D printed production printer in the world for sure that I've ever seen for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we could probably claim that title pretty solidly. I've seen one in person. There's stuff that's printed that there's no reason it had to be printed. I mean,
right.
But you can.
Yeah.
And
John, how many zip ties are on your printer? Do you know?
0.
It's a joke. Yeah. Are there any zip ties holding any structural stuff together, or no? I'm just kidding.
Well, I was.
That's one criticism that's what Prusa always gets is going. Everything's held together with zip ties and bubble gum. Their printers.
Well,
we don't do zip ties.
Yeah, the TPU boots are. I really like that innovation. I mean, the strain relief is good. I mean, they are a little tight, right? Which Steven found out, but they work.
Yes. You know what I found out the problem was John and I talked about it, but half of the bed cable relief it was on supports, and it was really swollen. I guess for the accuracy of the part wasn't there, and so when I was trying to slide the boot over, while it looked good on top, underneath it was catching, and what I ended up doing was just cramming it until it rolled in on itself. But obviously, I ended up breaking it myself. But today, once I fixed it and I realized I squeezed the clamp down, it slid right over it with no problem. But yeah, some of the clamps are a little tight, but John, taking it apart yesterday, taking that orange thing that holds the bed in place. Oh my God. Like I thought I was like, I'm going to break it. I mean,
I thought the same. It's like a PETG What is the blend of that? It's like kind of a different blend, right? The filament that you use for the clips.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. We've tried
think
a few different types of orange. I think we've solidly moved over to PETG at this point.
Oh, is it? Okay.
There is some flexible. Very early prototypes we were using ABS in orange, but I'm pretty sure we're thoroughly out of that. It's kind of an interesting split on the farm too. Like I said, pretty close to 200 mini twos, probably 80 to 90 workhorses. Oh, is that the flexible one? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No, that's flexi.
Dude, this thing was in there so tight, man. I was like, I thought I was going to break the printer getting it off, but this thing is so freaking strong.
Yeah.
And then I kept all the parts because I mean, I assume you're meant to keep all these, right?
Yep. Yeah. If you ever wanted to pack it back up or ship it across the country, you've got everything to do that. There's kind of a nice 11 by 17 one pager on how do I unbox this.
I love that. I wish I had it when I was unboxing mine, but I didn't need it because I helped pack it up at Murph. Oh, it looks like Jim's got a question there.
Yeah, I posted it. Yeah, what's your lead time on the 289 and 747?
So 289s are shipping. We exceeded our goal of I think July 30th that we had on that. So if you went through the configurator. But we're actually already actively shipping the 289. The 747, we've got August 13th as the date. But I could see us probably doing that a little bit early too, as we shift production and do things. We're trying to give our assembly team the chance to get on a model, learn how to do that model pretty well before just having them bounce back and forth. Even though you get the nice configuration feel, when they're built, it's not we're going to switch from a green 747 to a black 289, to a black 747 to up and down like that. We try and make it a little bit more cohesive for about 60% of the process. And then from there, the printers can be finished out and configured as customers have ordered them.
How long does it take you to build like a machine? How many man hours are in it? Do you know?
2 or 3 hours right now, but we want to cut that down.
Yeah,
so
that's not bad.
That's not bad. I would have thought more than that.
Yeah, it's not too terrible. Given we've had a little bit of practice and we've got the jigs and everything set up so that we're doing it at scale. I mean, where we're wanting to go is closer to that at least 20 units a day production rate. So you have to do things to get to there, and then you go to the next level and the next level. So
you're gonna see Edge of Tech Jim shave his head if he doesn't get his on time. Just like me. Yeah, I still haven't healed from Murph from my fall either. So.
Yeah, that was a bad environment at Murph, man. Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah.
But it's a testament to your machines because they were printing all the time. So.
Yeah, I got a little rust on a couple of my bolts, but I found out they're like M5 20 millimeters on the V wheels, so they're real easy to replace. I'm probably just going to do apple cider vinegar and try to rinse it off. So
well, that's a good question that came up too. What made you go with the V wheels versus rods and bearings like the IGUS bearings or doing linear rails? You know, because everybody associates not these wheels, but just V wheels with obviously the Chinese printers, right?
Yeah. So when you look at the V wheel, I mean, you'll find that it's not absent when you get in some higher level robotic type machinery in general. But the really big part and the really important part is having a good supplier for your V wheel. We vetted a lot of suppliers before we had something that made good sense for us. I've got horror stories from that experience, but at the same time, like let's say you go on Amazon and you buy V wheels. I know why people are hesitant about a printer that runs on V wheels. It's because of those.
They come cracked. Yeah.
They come cracked. One of the quickest ways to tell if you have a good supplier or a bad supplier.
I'll be right back.
Take a heat gun to your Delrin wheel. what you'll notice is if there's voids in that Delrin, it'll bubble. It'll actually bubble. But that's just one quick test that you can run. I know there's probably people that watch the stream and do different things that build their own printers and maybe source V-wheels from time to time. And checking things like that, they'll save you a lot of heartache. I mean, if it's
it's also less maintenance too, because you have a sealed ball bearing versus a rod that's going to need to be lubricated all the time, or a linear rail. So like in the garage, I got to cover a printer every time that's not in use, and then when it's in use, I got to make sure that it's a cleaner environment, at least where it's at.
Yeah.
Well, the people that are criticizing the V roller wheels, I think it's interesting because I've only had one other printer with V wheels. Oh no, I take that back. So people say the guy, the 3D Musketeers guy, he might be watching, but he had a big criticism of the V wheels, and no other printer does it. It's a Chinese thing, etc. But my CNC, they use V wheels, and originally those came with linear rails. Originally the Artemis and all the Deltas came with linear rails, and when I bought my machine, he said, "Hey, I'm changing over to V wheels. What do you want? Do you want the old one or the new one?" And I said, "Well, what's better?" And he said, "Dude, we're getting out of the linear rail business. It's just he said they're hard to clean. People don't maintain them properly, and it just causes us." He goes, "Linear rails, taking care of them is a skill unto itself, right?" And then you go to the IGUS style or even the U8, bearings and the rods. I mean, every single one of those systems have to be maintained and replaced. They're all a consumable item.
And look at how many people just use the wrong grease for them, right?
Right.
They're like, I got some bike chain grease right here on my my shelf.
My point is you can change a V wheel. Anybody, a child in a school could change a V wheel on a machine. Changing a linear rail is not easy, and like I told these guys last night, when I've rebuilt my Prusa, I just take pliers and crush the parts, because trying to get the rods out it's almost futile, right? Trying to get the rods out of it. But and it's quiet. Like, this machine is far quieter than if you had rails. I mean,
Yes.
the wheels are just buttery smooth,
Honestly, we had. I'd love to get on the 24-volt case fans. We've got quite a few 5-volt that we're going to work through for a long time here. But if we got onto the 24-volt case fans, or even if you wanted to mod your machine and run Noctua, completely on accident, these machines are silent. So they have the Trinomic driver and stuff in there already. The M175 is a little noisier than most just because of the cooling fan, but
it's not bad.
They don't make any noise. When we were prototyping and building these, it was like, there's no squeaking, no whining, no squealing, no normal printer noises whatsoever. It's a very, very quiet printer.
Why do you do the case fans? Is that something specific to the INC Retro, or
no? We just had inventory. It's a case where
better safe than sorry, right?
You got.
So they're there not because you need them, but because you had the inventory. Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
So it's different things like these that's how we're doing it for now.
Because one of your struggles you told me at dinner was when you guys got the company. The one thing that the old Lulzbot did is they had tons of out of date inventory, right? That was Did you say they had like an Australian warehouse full of inventory and I mean all kinds of goofy stuff? And
go ahead.
So the talent, or one of the anybody that's acquired companies before, they all come with bad inventory. I've had them with millions of dollars of bad inventory, and you trying to figure out, what am I going to do with it? You got to find so that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, you can't throw them away. That makes zero sense, But repurposing them is good. And there was a lot of debate on why you put the fans in there, because the INC Retro overheats, or the Trinamic drivers, but I know the Prusas don't have fans in their cases, so I assume it's the same. Yeah, exactly.
It is the loudest part on the printer, but I know I've got the very first serial number on my 289, and I know that there's already a new case that makes the the fan's a lot more silent, which I just have to print. So it's like there's another one, right? That's already fixed.
Yeah, we cut
Right.
by like, I don't know if it was quite 5 decibels, but there was a significant
Yep.
decrease in volume.
Well, I'm in a room with a Railcore, which is arguably the loudest printer on the planet. That thing is like,
Yeah.
8,000 acceleration and zipping around. It's noisy. My Prusa, the Prusa in stealth mode is really, really quiet. But over time, the bearings and the rails start, rattling and making noises. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely the Sidekick's the quietest printer I have, I think, for sure. I mean, it's printing right next to me, but
yeah.
All right. Well, geez, man, that was I didn't expect you to come on, but I think that this is honestly one of the things that make you different, John, is you're not afraid to talk to people that have criticism, because I know Lulzbot's got a ton of criticism, and I think the more you head on that stuff, the better off the image of the company is like, hey, we're not scared of what's happened in the past. There's clearly been mistakes made, but you guys are trying to plug forward, and I think it speaks a lot for you and the company as a whole. So.
Jim has a huge question here, because the 3D printing community is a very modding community.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
None of my, except for a couple of mine, are stock. I mean, it's almost like the way I looked at PC building cases, back in the day, making it your own. I'm a fan of making it my own. So what would you say to something like that? Is it goes one extreme, people replace a fan, okay, because I could get faster. Next day by another, provider versus you, versus, hey, I'm going to just change something really drastic on here.
Yeah, I mean, what it boils down to is we've got a 1-year warranty. Let's say you seriously messed up the machine and it came back in here. If it was something we could just change back and figure out, at the end of the day, our goal is keep you printing, get you printing. That's our goal. We don't want people with machines that don't work, that they had a terrible experience. I think if anybody interacted with Lulzbot customer support, we're going to focus a lot more on getting you running. That's really important to us. But when you boil it down to mods that we start to question a little bit, like let's say you change your printed parts. Awesome, great. That's what they're for. Let's say you completely put a different board, a different brain on it. Now you're starting to run that one, because I don't know what manufacturer made your board. I don't know why you built it a connector, because you did something really hodgepodge.
I mean, you got custom firmware on yours for tool changing and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't see why anyone would go that route myself. It's not like it's a basic Marlin setup where you see on a lot of these other, low end machines. So yeah, I mean, you got the real adventurous types that will do something like that, and then you got the people that would just, change some parts cosmetically because it makes them their own. I think Jim's question is stemming from because there's another thing, right? So we talked a lot about Prusa, but they're doing a lot of they're going from printed parts to injection molded, and that's technically not very kosher with most true rep wrap people, but whatever. I'm still they're gonna. Well, that's what I'm getting to is the Mini came out and it has the buddy board, and the buddy board has a thing in it that basically, if you want to put any firmware on it, if you want to change the firmware, you got to cut that piece out, and you void your warranty. And it's funny though, John. Like I've since I've announced this, I on Twitter, I've been getting a lot of criticism about V wheels and 8-bit boards and all this other stuff. But I do see you're trying to keep the spirit of the rep wrap thing alive. But Prusa went and made a board that is anti everything this community is, and everybody gives it a pass. I mean, but it is a right. I mean, it's kind of anti.
Well, it is kind of interesting. I mean, as a brand, the community has basically got to decide: do we want Lulzbot in here? Do we want healthy competition where people are making in the affordable ballpark the good machines? Do we want to allow that competition in our community? If they continue to just have a problem with everything they do, then they do that. And we experience rejection from our own community, a community that we're honestly going to need their help. I mean, we're building desktop printers at scale, not to just appease the 3D printing community, but to expand it. We've got larger plans when it comes to pulling in people that have never had the joy or experience of using a 3D printer to make whatever it is. It's brand new entrepreneur.
But John, this right here, like I told you, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I've been doing this for almost 5 years now, and 3D printing is, I think, a long time. But Lulzbot wasn't on the radar of guys like me and Greg and Tripod or anybody, even Filament Frenzy. They were commercial equipment, and I think the smartest thing that you've done is you've made a printer. Okay, who cares? It's a couple $100 more than a Prusa, but it's still, by the way, a lot of people in North America, we have a lot of pride in our country. We want to buy stuff from our own country. That's a smart move, and I think the success is going to come from being able to adapt to that prosumer market and give guys like me and Greg and all these people something that we feel good about buying and that has the reliability, has the warranty. Those are the things that are important to us. And I really think this printer, I think the 289 has some debates in it about value versus size. Sure. And I think they're valid, to be completely honest. I think that it's expensive for how the build volume, but I do see what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that it's super smart. There's a huge market here that want to buy from American companies or North American companies, and they want to buy a good printer with good support at a fair price. And I think to say that $200 is ridiculous, right? It's so much more. It's not so much more expensive. It's $200. I mean, I took my family to Olive Garden last weekend. It was $183. I mean, you can't even go to Olive Garden for under $200 anymore. Yeah. It's really not that big of a deal,
Well, and then you look at what comes stock on the printer itself that people pay to upgrade later. Okay,
right?
You have all these features already on here. It's, as we call it, feature rich, right? It's got everything that you need.
Quality of life features.
Yeah, all the features that people try to upgrade for. I mean, you get a just a Ender 3 or something, and then people start throwing stuff at it, and guess what? It's up to $800 already.
Easy, dude. Easy. Yep. I mean, so my Prusa, $800, but that comes with a V6. I don't use V6s on anything. I have mosquitoes on everything. I mean, just for guys like me, that was the first thing I took off. I took the V6, and it has no value. I mean, I gave it away on Facebook. I mean, it has no value to me. I do like the idea that when I put a mosquito on this, I'll be able to buy the unit or build my own, right? And put it on there at some point. But I think the Lulzbot's direction, in my opinion, I think you've handled it very well. I think the criticism is tough, and some of it's unfair. It is. Some of the people that are the loudest in the community they're not going to buy one anyways. They feel, whatever, but I don't know. There's people that didn't buy iPhones after Steve Jobs died too, But I think it's a great move. I think this market is ripe for the picking. There's really one guy that's got the whole market by the nuts, and it's even if you're successful by 25%, it's going to be huge.
Yeah. And there's clearly people that do like it, right? So
that'll be gritting. Nice to get 10.
Yeah,
it's a good market, and this
is
a better position for that market than our $3,000 or $5,000 professional line of Tazos. We can still build those machines. I mean, even the problems that people have with the Sidekick, it's not that we don't know how to fix them. It's that those are present in our higher scale machines. This is meant to be more of a way to get started with the Lulzbot, something you can rely on.
That's true. You don't want to cannibalize that market.
The price of the workhorse. It's
well, and John, you've been so accessible too. That's another thing to me is I've had literally a dozen emails or DMs on Twitter going, why are they taught, why are you getting one of these machines? And I still don't know the reason why, but I think I see the direction is putting Lulzbot back into that the people that do this seriously and are maybe even trying to make some money at it. I just think it's a really smart move. You've been really approachable. You're not defensive about anything. And I really think that Lulzbot's just starting in the U.S. for this market, right? Because again, a year ago, If somebody would have said, "Hey, have you thought about buying a Lulzbot?" I would have been, no, right? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. But today, I think it's going to make sense to a lot of people, honestly. So,
yeah. So, John, why don't you give us your sales pitch on this? I'm sure you have something, right? So, yeah, your sales pitch.
Why would you buy it?
Yeah. So, tell us, why would we buy it? Because we're all excited about it, and anyone that's in the chat's already excited about it. But anyone that's watching now, if you have it,
it's very different because the way I look at printers has much less to do with the feature set. It has a lot more to do with what are you making? Are you trying to make jigs and fixtures? Are you trying to make something for your high school to sell in place of a bake sale? They now sell school keychains. What is it you're trying to make? Is probably the first thing I'm going to figure out. The thing about the Sidekick is no matter what that response, we have 9 different tool head options that you can order configured that way. If you want to do a 1.2 millimeter nozzle, we have a factory option for that. And I don't know if you've seen nozzles that spit out plastic that fast, but you're putting down beads, and that's really fun.
Yeah.
I like making shape fast, even if you're rough prototyping. The ability to get stuff done is huge, and something that we've stayed constant with as a brand. Most everybody else runs a 0.4 nozzle. We run 0.5.
Mm-hmm.
That is our standard.
Right.
Our standard is a larger nozzle from the factory, and that's on all the machines. If you want to go bigger, great. We do have one smaller option, 0.25 nozzle, the SL. It does a great job with minis. I print minis and paint them and do stuff, but it's, yeah, I guess it doesn't make sense for me to just sell you a machine. I want to know what you want to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sell you the right machine. I want to make sure that you're using the right materials so that you can enjoy it, that you, if you need a mag bed, if you need a glass bed. Magnetic beds, they work really well. They're a lot more convenient to use, but are you trying to get that perfectly, absolute flat, perfect layer, or are you printing something that has just a bunch of supports or even rafts? And at that point, you're not gaining any benefit from that. I mean, we have the heated bed. Go ahead,
John. Doesn't it come down to like when you're talking about first-time users? You know, for most of us, the price point that this is at is far more than we spend on our first printer, right? So many people buy like an Ender 3, but I know there's only 2 people that I know in my real world life that I've actually helped them get printers. Both of them stopped after time because they got lost along the way. They got a jam. Something happened. One of them, a belt broke, and they didn't know how to fix it. And it's like what you're really selling here is like when you put into perspective the support that you'll have and the help that you'll have when you need it the most, right? You're buying a printer that has all the help going along with it. It's like buying an Apple product or something. A lot of people buy Apple products because they know that when something goes bad or they need help with something, that company is going to be there for them. Every printer in the Chinese market, regardless of which one you're talking about, even Raise 3D and all these other guys, you're basically left with Facebook groups, right? And Twitter for help. I mean, that's really what you're selling at the end of the day. Is you're selling you're selling help, right? And you're not alone. You're at least your first year out of the gate with a machine. If you bought one of these, you would have lots of help, I would think, right?
Right. And even, it was interesting. I spent a lot of time dwelling on like the Lulzbot brand and what they've been building up to the point where we purchased the assets. And something stuck out to me. You can find a YouTube video from maybe like 2015, and Harris Kenny is at a trade show, and they asked him, like, there's some other cheaper printers. Why would somebody buy a Lulzbot or whatnot? Something that stuck out to me is, at this time, the Lulzbot might not be the first printer they buy, but when that first printer they buy lets them cut their teeth or gives up on them or whatnot, they can graduate to that Lulzbot.
Right.
We've tried to be a little bit more aggressive and get to hopefully being that first machine, because the other side of things that you see happen is printer craps itself and they can't use it, and then they give up on 3D printing. And that's not something that I think the community or anybody really wants to see happen. I mean, we've got more digital stockpiles of parts than ever before. I mean, you go on Thingiverse or the Prusa equivalent and stuff, and there's stuff for everybody on there. Whether you're printing parts for a Subaru interior to a
It's supposed to say Jeep.
Yeah, Jeep.
Hey, they're made in my hometown. Good vehicle.
Hey, there you go. But, yeah.
Hey, you said on one stream that Lulzbot was, before they went under, they had plans for a Core XY, right?
Yeah. If you go on develop.lulzbot.com, you can still see a lot of what they were working on years ago. It was kind of neat to see that. We've got a lot of other machines in a full R&D department now, so it's seeing which of these ideas make good sense to bring to market, and even some of them make sense to just run in our own print farm. Special modifications or things that are for high volume parts. Some make sense to commercialize, others make sense to build like 50 machines or less, and that's where it's going to live until we find a customer that's specifically looking for that or asking for it.
I think with the hobby market, you'll probably get some of those ideas rolling in through that channel as well. So
and the whole purpose of being on GitLab was to start that discussion again. I mean, open source really is a push-pull. Like, pull your files, modify your files, and then share your files. So let's say a filament holder on the Taz Sidekick. Maybe I want this version of the filament holder. Maybe I want this version of the filament holder. Well, the only reason all these different versions exist is because it was open source in the first place. And now I have my freedom to choose.
Yeah, I've already made a few parts. That reminds me, I need to send them your way if you guys want them. I lowered I actually took the step file that you provided for the M175 head, and I lowered the holes by about 1.5 millimeters, so I didn't have to lower my Z as much, right? I mean, it was like 10 minutes. I had it modified because you guys provide those parts. I mean, it's great. Just open up Fusion and go.
Perfect.
Well, I'm gonna, unless anybody's got any questions, I'm gonna cut it off here because I haven't even seen my wife today. So, John, and especially Tripod and Greg, thank you for coming on, and everybody in the chat, thanks for sticking or coming on. This was kind of impromptu. I was resoldering that lead on the board, and but I had it done before I started the stream, so it wasn't that fun. But anyways, anybody else got any other questions for John or anybody else? No.
Good to see you again, John, and thanks, Steve.
John, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to. I'm gonna end it right now. Thank you. Bye.
Sounds good.